everyone, welcome to ThriveKids Online. I'm Miss Chelsea.
And I'm Mr. John.
And we're so excited that you're here this week for Blueprints, week 4. So, to get us started, I have a question for you. What's one thing that makes you feel scared or worried? For me, I'd have to say spiders. I really don't like them, and if I see one somewhere, I'm out of there. What about you, Mr. John?
Well, I'm gonna stick with the S theme, spiders. I'm scared of sharks.
Ooh, that is a scary one.
Yeah.
All right, well, we all deal with feelings of worry and being scared. Sometimes we ask ourselves questions like, what if this and what if that? But God says it's important that we trust Him even when we're worried. And that's our need to know. When I feel worried, I can trust God. So let's sing our song together and then we'll check in with Bill Dozer.
You know when I'm lonely, you know when I'm sad, I know, and then you are with me, yeah, you are with me. You know when I'm worried, you know when I'm mad, I know, and then I can trust you, yeah, I can trust you. You don't want perfection, you just want my best. And when my mind is racing, you will give me rest. God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything. God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything. You know when I'm lonely, you know when I'm sad, I know, and then you are with me, yeah, you are with me. You know when I'm worried, you know when I'm mad, I know, and then I can trust you, yeah, I can trust you. You don't want perfection, you just want my best. And when my mind is racing, you will give me rest. God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything. God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything.
You are greater than all I feel. You know it all and you always will. I trust in you with all that I've got. Doesn't even matter if I feel it or not. You are greater than all I feel. You know it all and you always will. I trust in you with all that I've got. Doesn't even matter if I feel it or not.
God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything. God is greater, greater than my feelings. He knows everything, He knows everything.
Hey everybody, my name is Bill Dozer, and I'm so glad you could make it to the 4th week of our series, Blueprints. In this series, we're talking about feelings because God gave us lots of different emotions, and He wants us to use them in the right way. We talked about how important it is to stop, look, and to listen when these feelings creep up. We'll get to practice that again in just a little bit. But for now, I want you to put your eyes on the screen and check out what my friends Skip and Susanna are up to.
Working with the excavator, working with the excavator, working with the excavator. Yeah! Beep, 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 beep.
Hey Skip, what are you working on?
Oh, hey Suze. I'm just working on the plans for an office I'm about to start building downtown.
Okay, so how's it going?
It's going great. Just finishing up the blueprints, like I always do.
Oh, really? You always do blueprints like this?
Yeah, it's not exactly to scale, seeing as how I'm working with Legos, but It always works out.
And what are you doing with that excavator?
Oh, I'm getting used to handling big equipment so that I'll be ready to tear down the old mill to prepare the new job site.
So you think that by practicing with this toy excavator, you'll be able to operate a real one?
Well, why wouldn't I? I thought you would want to help me. Want to give it a try?
Skip, you have got to be kidding me. There's no way that you or I can do this big of a job.
What are you so worried about? I was asked to do the job and I know what I'm doing. I've got everything under control. See the plans?
That's no plan, Skip. That's not an official blueprint. If this is the only plan that you've got, then there's so many terrible things that could happen to you, the builders, or the people that are gonna actually be in this office.
Calm down, Susie Q. My blueprint is just a scaled down representation of all the work that has to get done.
But you haven't included the important safety measures, like plumbing, underground piping, gas, and power. Skip, there is nothing about this building that will be built to code.
It's just fine. We'll be wearing our hard hats like we always do. Does that help you feel any better?
Not exactly. What if a big storm comes? With torrential downpour.
See? No worries. Still standing.
Oh yeah? What if strong winds come? From a huge tornado.
See? No worries. Still standing.
Well, what about a volcano erupting? And hot lava shooting everywhere.
See? No worries. Just a little cleanup, but still standing. As a matter of fact, a barrel of monkeys could attack the building site. And see? No worries. Still standing.
It looks like Susanna's worries got a little carried away. Whenever our emotions are starting to get the best of us, the first thing we need to do is stop. Stopping helps us to name what we're really feeling. This is important because when we're all wrapped up in our emotions, things can seem worse than they actually are. If we're not careful, we might make decisions that we can't undo. So to help us practice stopping and giving our feelings a name, let's take a look at the screen. As you see, there are emojis on the screen. We're going to pick out which emotions we just saw Susanna having by making faces like those emojis. On the count of 3, I want everyone to guess which emotions you saw in the video by making a face like the emojis. All great guesses, everyone. I saw a lot of emotions on your faces. Now, I'm gonna show you the correct answer. The correct answer is worry. Susanna was definitely worried about how everything Skip was doing was going to turn out. Raise your hand if you've ever felt worried. As you can see, most, if not all, of the people in the room have their hands raised. That's because some of the things we face are scary, and we can all worry sometimes. But worry starts in small ways and gets out of control in no time. And before we know it, we'll find ourselves scared of what might happen next. But that's why we have to stop and deal with how we feel. And when dealing with feelings, step 2 is also very, very important. Looking helps us see what's really going on. Susanna was worried and could only think about what could go wrong. Some of the things worrying her were real, but then other things like the barrel of monkeys falling from the sky were a little out there. But if Susanna would have looked around at what was really going on and would have seen that she had no reason to worry, and that's because God has it all under control. I know that's true because of the third and final step, and that is to listen. If Suze would have done step 3, she would have learned that in all things she can trust God. So listening to what God says is true, is very important when dealing with how we feel, especially when we're worried. When I feel worried, I go to my blueprint. I go to my blueprint in life, the Bible. In the story we're about to watch, we'll see a man who was dealing with some serious worry. But listen closely to what happened when he stopped asking what if and started listening to God.
Hey everybody, listen up. Here's what God has to say.
Has to say about what?
Well, I was just about to tell you
Wait,
that...
is it good news or bad news? Like, good news as when we're having pancakes for dinner?
Pancakes? What are you even talking about?
Oh no! Is it bad news? As in velociraptors are prowling around downtown with laser beams coming from their eyes and they're stealing everyone's pants? So many pants! It's got me so worried.
Let me stop you right there. That's what our story is about.
About pants?
Ha ha, not pants. Worrying. There are so many things we can worry about, and God has something to say about it. So let's jump into our story about Gideon.
Gideon, my main man. But wait, what did he have to worry about?
Great question, and great place to start. So Gideon was an Israelite. The Israelites were God's chosen people, but they started to do some really bad things that upset him.
Oh, like cheating on tests and staying up past their bedtimes? That's like bad.
Oh, even really badder than that. They started to disobey God, so he let a mean group of people, the Midianites, rule over them. For years, they would attack the Israelites and destroy their crops.
Oh man, bullies who take your lunch money? Definitely lots to worry about.
Oh yeah, and this went on forever. Finally, the Israelites shouted out to God, asking for his help.
Time to throw up the bat signal.
Even though the Israelites had started worshiping false gods, the one true God heard their cries. He had an idea and was about to come through for them big time.
He was going to give them a shrink ray gun so they could turn the Midianites into little baby ants. Now that's an idea.
Oh, it's an idea, all right. And that's where Gideon comes back into the picture. Gideon, who was hiding while separating the wheat they used for bread, was worried that if the Midianites knew he had food, they would take it. That's when God sent an angel who said to Gideon,
"Mighty warrior, God is with you."
Gideon did not feel like God was with them and asked the angel about all the bad things that were happening. That's when God himself spoke to Gideon. He said, "You are strong. Go and save Israel from the power of Midian. I am sending you."
Well, I guess it doesn't get much more clear than that, right?
Well, you'd think so, but Gideon was still worried. He wondered why on earth God would choose him to go save everyone. It's not like he came from a strong family. Gideon didn't feel important at all. God reassured Gideon that he would be with him, but Gideon needed a sign. So he asked God to stick around for a minute while he prepared an offering.
I'm sure God didn't mind waiting since he's got all the time in the world.
Gideon whipped up some bread and goat stew, brought it back, and placed it on a rock. That's when the angel touched it with a stick, and the whole thing went up in flames.
Flaming bread, and flaming stew, and flaming rocks.
There weren't any flaming rocks, but Gideon did make an altar there for God. And speaking of altars, that same night, Gideon snuck around.
Like a ninja dressed in all black, throwing ninja stars at the other altars, and slicing a pole in half using a samurai sword.
Gideon didn't have ninja stars or a samurai sword, but he did destroy the altar and pole his family had used for worshiping false gods.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Gideon did all this at night because he was afraid and worried that his family would be very angry with him. When the townspeople saw what Gideon had done, they wanted him to pay for it. But nothing bad happened to Gideon.
Sounds like that was a close call.
It sure was. A little while later, the Midianites started moving in for another attack, and it didn't take long for Gideon to start worrying again. He knew God had promised to use him to save Israel and all, but he needed another reminder.
What did Gideon have in mind? It's not like God could just shoot him a text.
Yeah, no cell phones, but Gideon did have an idea. You see, dew would form overnight and make the ground, as well as everything else around it, wet. So Gideon left a piece of wool on the ground overnight and asked God to make the wool wet from the dew, but leave the ground dry.
Wet wool, dry ground, check.
Sure enough, God did just that. But Gideon still wasn't sure. and asked God if he'd do just the opposite the next night.
Okay, so dry wool and wet ground. Got it.
When Gideon woke up the next morning, that's exactly what he found. The wool was dry, but the ground around it was covered in dew.
Please tell me Gideon trusted God this time.
Gideon was now confident that God wanted him to fight the Midianites. He knew that the Lord thought he was good enough to do the job. So Gideon decided to stop worrying, trust God, and do exactly what God wanted him to do.
So the next time we find ourselves worrying about anything,
We can trust God.
Gideon was so worried about how it would all turn out that he forgot God was with him and had a good plan all along. God was patient with Gideon and kept reminding him that he was made for a great purpose. And that's when Gideon's worry stopped, and he started trusting in what God had planned for him. Gideon learned that he can really trust God, and we can too. The next time we find ourselves asking, what if, and worrying, we can stop, look, and listen to the truth of God's word. Doing these things will help us stop the worry and see that God will never leave us. He wants what's best for us, and because of that, we can trust him. And that's what we need to know today. Everybody say it with me. When I feel worried, I can trust God. This true story from the Bible is about God's people, the Israelites. Being a part of God's chosen people should make us happy. But this story is also about some people who were causing the Israelites to worry. The people who were causing trouble were called the Midianites. See, a long time ago, the Israelites started disobeying God. So, God let the Midianites rule over them. For years, they would attack the Israelites and destroy their crops. That made the Israelites feel sad and scared. But after a while, the Israelites prayed to God for help. Even though the Israelites had started worshiping fake gods, their father, God, heard their cries, and he promised to come through for them. But a man named Gideon wasn't so sure that God was really going to help them. Gideon knew that the Midianites were really mean people, so thinking about all the things that could go wrong really worried Gideon. Gideon was worried because he knew that if a Midianite found something they could take, they would. But God spoke to Gideon through an angel. The angel came to him and said, "Mighty warrior, God is with you." Well, you may think that Gideon would have felt happy, but Gideon was still worried. He couldn't understand why God would choose him, of all people. So God told him, "You are strong. Go and save Israel from the power of Midian. I'm sending you." That should have made Gideon feel better, but he still felt worried, so he asked God for a sign. God wanted Gideon to feel comforted, so he sent some signs. First, Gideon went out and made some goat stew. The angel touched it with a stick, and the next thing he knew, it was on fire. That sign helped Gideon trust God, so that night he went and destroyed the altar his family had built to worship false gods. But soon Gideon started to worry again. Uh-oh. He worried about how mad his family would be and what might happen to him, but God protected Gideon. Soon, the Midianites were moving in for another attack, and Gideon was worried. He knew that God had promised to take care of him and was going to use him to help save Israel. But Gideon needed another reminder. He knew that dew fell every single night. So Gideon told God that he was going to put out a piece of wool. He asked God to show him that he could trust him by making the wool wet and the ground dry. Gideon was still worried, but because God loved Gideon and wanted to show Gideon that he could be trusted, God gave Gideon another sign. The next night, Gideon laid the piece of wool out and asked God to leave the wool dry, but the ground wet, and God did it. This time, Gideon trusted God and did what God was telling him to do. Gideon was smiling at the end of our story because through all of his worrying, God came through for him. And in the same way, God will come through for us. When we feel worried, we can trust God.
All right, guys, Have you ever felt worried about something? I know I definitely have. But here's the thing about worrying. It doesn't really change anything. And I'm going to show you what I mean. I have Mr. John here to help me. And how tall do you think Mr. John is? I don't know. He's definitely taller than I am. I'm only 5'1". Well, let's see. We're going to measure and find out. So, Mr. John, I'm going to have to stick that down at your feet. Slide this up. Looks like Mr. John is 5 feet 10 inches tall. So here's what we're going to do. Mr. John, I want you to worry as much as you can about getting taller. I want you to get really nervous and really afraid and really stressed out. I want you to just think and think and think about getting taller. Okay? All right, let's see. He's definitely looking worried. Well, I don't know. I think he can worry a little bit more. Maybe he's not doing his best. Let's see if we can motivate him to worry a little bit more. All right, Mr. John, if you do not get taller by the time I am done talking, I am going to hit you with a pool noodle as hard as I can. And you know what? I'm going to make you eat pickled fish eyes. Ugh. You better be taller. You have only a little bit of time left. I don't know. Do you guys think it's working? I'm not too sure. Okay, let's find out for sure. All right, Mr. John, you can stop worrying, but we're going to measure one more time. Put this down on the floor. Bring it all the way up. Ooh, still 5 feet 10 inches tall. All right, well, Mr. John, you did the best worrying you could possibly do, but that's just it. Worrying doesn't change anything. It didn't change Gideon's ability to do what God wanted him to do. It didn't change how tall that Mr. John was. And that's why the Bible tells us not to worry. In fact, it says don't worry, instead pray and trust God. Worrying can't change anything, but prayer and trusting God can. All right, guys, let's go over our memory verse.
But even if we don't feel at ease, God is greater than our feelings.
God is greater than our feelings.
And He knows everything. 1 John 3:20.
1 John 3:20.
Awesome job. Let's go ahead and do it with our motions now. But even if we don't feel at ease, God is greater than our feelings.
God is greater than our feelings.
And He knows everything.
1
John 3:20.
1 John 3:20. All right, awesome job. Now we're going to close in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much that we're able to learn about you online. God, I pray this week as we might be feeling worried or scared, I pray that you'd help us to remember that we can trust in you, God, and that you are greater than our feelings, and we don't have to be scared or worried. I pray that you would keep us safe and keep us healthy until we're able to meet together again in person. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.